So, you just unlocked the A-10 and you want to learn how to fly, eh? Well, that's why you clicked on this video, right? I hope that's why you clicked on this video. Well, anyways, so first off, get your beautiful flight suit here. Not required, but I prefer it because this looks better. Want to go to your hangar over here, request aircrafts. Don't mind the 75% damage on my A-10. Request, well, but if you're trying to buy it, let me just remove my A-10 real quick so I can show you how to buy it. I will go purchase vehicle. This order right here. Keep in mind, that is if you want to buy it, but yeah. Anyways, so you don't. So like, let's just say like right. Well, not just let's just say like. I'm just gonna show you how to start with A-10 first here. So you want to press APU, engine R, engine L, doesn't matter which one. Then all four of these, doesn't matter which order. Then you want to come over here, oxygen, battery, AC power R, AC power L, APU generator, inverter, and CICU. You'll know if you get it right because those two gauges right here will start going up, and the CICU or the pop-up display will appear here. And the two switches you don't need are the fuel test right here, which the fuel test just does that. So like it's literally useless. Like it's even more useless than the lamp test here. It literally does nothing at all. Alright. So then you want to press either K or L first. You can only press one at a time. You can't press both of them to start both engines. But let's press one. Wait for that engine to start up. Alright. Your RPM will start going up as well as your temperature. I don't have to worry about temperature much in this game. Don't forget your left fan and left flow as well. Then the engine you haven't started up, press the other button for that. L is for the right engine, and K is for the left engine, by the way. So, as you can see here, the engine, it's starting up. And once your engine is started up, you don't want to just hold down at throttle because you're going to crash into the sign up there. Like, I'm going to turn my graphics up real quick so I can show you this. See that sign right there? You're going to crash into it. There's a sign over there, which is for the other hangar, which you're also going to crash into. So, don't just floor it. Just, like, tap space. Alright. And I recommend you go slowly, especially with your first time of taxiing. But after a few times of taxiing, you don't really have to take it slow. You can kind of just like, but even if you're gonna take it fast like I am, for the taxi part, specifically on the turns, you want to like slow down so you don't crash. So I didn't mean to stop there. Alright, so takeoff. It's this part, the takeoff part, it's not that hard. It's the next easiest part. Like like taking off, it's not that hard compared to everything else. Of course, it's harder than starting up the A-10. But essentially, what you want to do is you want to hold space until your hand stops moving that little throttle. Alright, that's how you know you'll be taking off. You'll be gaining speed. Once that airspeed reaches to 200, tap. I mean lightly tap, like tap S. If you hold down S, your A-10 is going to explode. Just tap S. Sometimes your A-10 will jump up like mine did just there. Now, you see those lights right there? That means your gear's down. Press G, those lights disappear. That means your gear's up. Alright, so alright, so let me just teach you the basics of the WASD thing. So, A, you roll left, as you can see here. D, you roll right. Roll. And then W, you go down. And then in some cases up. Then S, you go up, and in other cases down. Because this depends on how your A-10 is orientated. And I know some of you are wondering, well then how do I turn then if the A-10 can only roll and go up and down? Well, you want to press either A or D. If you're trying to turn left, hold A till you get on your side. You'll know if you're on your side by that artificial horizon. Or if you're trying to turn right, you want to lay on your side on this way. Alright. Then, or if you're like that, you can just roll to to your left, as if you're turning left, and press W to turn right. Uh, or you can press S to turn left, like you're leaning left. Alright. I recommend being on at the very least 7 graphic settings. I'll fly with A-10 so you can see where you're going. And I also recommend having nods on your pilot helmet. Otherwise, you're probably going to crash. Alright. So now that you got the basics of WASD down, H is for your canopy, by the way. And here's the thing, here's something you never want to do in the middle of a flight. Never, ever press that inverter during the flight, because you'll just fall out the sky. And you also don't want to you want to avoid pressing K or L, because you'll also fall out the sky. All these buttons over here, don't press them at all, because you're going to fall out the sky. Basically, if you press anything, you're going to fall out the sky. Oxygen, it's just kind of there. Like, you're not going to fall out the sky if you press oxygen, but yeah, it's just there, kind of. Alright, and for the A-10, right? There's anti-air, of course, and the anti-air will target the A-10. The best way to negate that is when you're going in for your strike, like, for instance, I'm just gonna strike airbase real quick, as if it's like a hostile compound. Let's just say, like, there's enemy anti-air here at the airbase. Like, for instance, I strike, right? And then the anti-air is locking onto me. Either hold either A and S, D and S, W and D, and or W and A. Just a combination of 2 of the buttons should be fine, as long as you're not as long as you're not holding W and S or A and D, you should be fine. You should be able to avoid the anti-air fire. And in the occasion you don't avoid it, that's on you. Anyways, so I just want to go over what each button combo does real quick, so that way when you're in flight you don't like do the wrong button combo. So S and D. This is what S and D does. Kind of like flips you around like that. A and S is pretty much the same thing, except just like rolling the other direction. And for W and S, well, not W and S, but for W and D and W and A, I'm gonna gain some altitude because W it gets rid of your altitude, as I already mentioned. So I'm kind of turning you from like not a pilot that doesn't know how to fly the A-10 at all to someone that like can fly the A-10. All right, so. And then I'm also going to do like a striking example on mountain. I'm not going to do it on every single location because like it doesn't matter which location I do an example on. It's just like, it's just more of like, of what, it's just more of like how to strike really. So here's what W and D does. You kind of like lose altitude kind of. Uh, W and A, they do this. I don't recommend pressing them unless you have lots of altitude. Usually if you're trying to avoid anti-air fire, hold S and D or S and A. Alright, so now for this last part of the A-10 guide. Um, striking your location. Unless you're like a very experienced pilot, um, you want to line up first. So I'm going to roll over upside down so I have a good lineup. So that way whenever I turn around to strike, I'm right side up and I'm not inverted. My controls aren't inverted. So I fly over, right? Over a good spot. Right. And then I let myself fly out a little bit. I'm letting myself fly out more and more and more so that way I can get a good distance for rolling over. Then I press and hold W until either our artificial horizon says like it's right side up, or until you can see the place you're gonna strike. So then once you see your place you're gonna strike, you can zoom in if you want and just strike. I didn't get any kills on that strike, but once you become a more experienced pilot, you don't have to line up. Instead, you can just go full on, just like how I'm doing right now. Like you can just like you don't like just forget like when you become more experienced, you can just forget lining up your shots. Because lining up your shots, that's like for beginner pilots, because it's just like to help you get your aim straight, kind of. But I'm putting the A-10 to provide quick, simple air support. So, alright, and then, alright, so for the landing process, landing is actually quite hard. It's probably the hardest part of flying the A-10 besides dodging anti-air. Actually, it's probably even harder than that. After I got the A-10, it took me about like a few weeks to get used to landing. So I'm just gonna show you how it works for me right now. So basically, what I do before I go even try and land, I throttle down to about right there, and then like I'm just gonna keep tapping throttle down until my throttle actually starts going down. And keep in mind, if you try and keep a high enough airspeed so like you don't stall, but like low enough airspeed to where you can land. Alright, so I'm pulling all the way back. You can see. Should be losing airspeed. Yep, we're losing airspeed. I'm gonna like do some basic maneuvers, sort of, when it comes to airspeed. So as you can see, my airspeed is declining, is going down. It's decreasing. Alright, so ideal airspeed to land at is 200 to like 170 to 200, depending on your skill. I say depending on your skill, the higher the airspeed that you can land at. So for beginner pilots, I suggest but for beginner pilots, I don't even suggest going to 170, as that's really close to the to stall speed. So for beginner pilots, I honestly recommend going down to 180 instead, because like around 180. It doesn't have to be exactly 180, because you'll end up crashing if you try get exact. But all right. So for pilots, for you beginner pilots trying to land, you press G, those lights will come on, letting you know the gear is down. And then for beginner pilots, for you beginner pilots, of course, once again, it's just like strafing, and you want to line up, and but instead of flying past for the lineup, just touch down. Use A and D to guide yourself on the runway to make sure you don't crash into any of the signs. Because if you crash into a sign, your A-10 will blow up, and once your A-10 blows up, that's bad, and you'll have to buy it again. Well, like, not buy it again, but like, it's kind of like you'll have to like spend $3,125. So once you've safely made it to the ground, doesn't matter which way, get to your closest taxi line, which is those yellow lines on the runway, on the taxi strips. So you see that yellow line. Of course, I landed on the far side. I landed facing this way to the airfield. So of course I'm having like a longer taxi strip. A more experienced pilot can actually take off from this taxi strip, heading the opposite direction I'm heading. So just to get to hangars quicker, I'm gonna throttle up a bit. I don't recommend doing that at all. At least for beginner pilots. When you become more experienced with A-10 flying, then I recommend you try it at least once to to taxi to your hangar quicker. But if you're trying to do like a milsim type event when it comes to A-10s, then I do not recommend doing that because you'll be taken out of flying. And the most important part to be careful when getting into the hangar is your speed, because if you're going too fast, you won't be able to slow down in time, and if you're not able to slow down in time, you're gonna hit that back wall. And one of two things are gonna happen: you're gonna get lucky because of the low speed, and it's just gonna bump it, or your A-10 is gonna hit it and explode. The A-10 is super sensitive now. It was like you could literally kamikaze 6 times with the A-10, the old A-10, and it would just like be fine. But now it's not fine. You can like if you like barely tap your tail onto the runway, he'll explode. As I said, you will. So that's mainly just how the A-10 functions. Well, for beginners at least. I'll do a more advanced pilot video to like sometime today or tomorrow. Uh, I want to wish you guys happy holidays and all that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.